Watching some of the extreme flight tests the new 747-8 freighter has been performing can make your heart skip a beat. In November, Boeing test pilots repeatedly dragged the airplane's tail on a California runway. The velocity minimum unstick test is designed to figure out the lowest speed the freighter can take off. As Captain Mark Firestein, the chief test pilot for the 747-8 will tell you, it is a difficult maneuver to pull off.
It's a balance between being forceful and being gentle. We want to be forceful to get the airplane's tail moving down towards the runway. But of course, we want to be very gentle when we set the airplane's tail down on the runway.
It was all force when the 747-8, loaded down with 1,005,000 pounds, soared into the sky. Well, since this flight in June, the airplane has broken its own record by taking off at 1,010,000 pounds. Right after takeoff and prior to landing, the issue of ground effects comes into play. So over several days in October, test pilots commanded the 747-8 freighter to basically hover over the runway. This examines the aerodynamic effects when the airplane is close to the ground. This test helps verify the jet's stability and control while gathering data for the engineering team to finalize the Autoland system.
Different weights of the airplane, different flap settings of the airplane, really understanding and simulating what the airplane could see in service.
8.45.
Once the airplane is in the clouds, the gravity-defying tests continue.
Recover.
In this clip from August, the pilots purposely put the freighter into a stall to make sure it can recover. And time and again, the airplane was up to the challenge.
In most of the stalls that I've flown, I merely relax back pressure on the column to neutral column, and the airplane recovers just fine.
You're cleared for kicks.
The pilots are also verifying the airplane can dampen out vibrations when they intentionally pulse or excite the wing and other control surfaces.
Left.
While the 747-8 freighter officially cleared flutter testing earlier in the year, the program continues to test for flutter as it refines the flight control laws.
You know, we've made significant progress in resolving the issues that we found during the flight test program. We have implemented fixes on the airplane, and we are now driving towards all of the fundamental testing that we have to complete to certify and deliver the airplanes.
The flight test program is about two-thirds of the way complete, as the 4 test airplanes have now surpassed 1,500 flight hours. The pilot, who has been in the flight deck for many of those hours, says it truly is an amazing machine.
If I had the chance to talk to a new 747-8 pilot, I would tell him, be excited. It's going to deliver on the promise of better efficiency, better performance, payload, and a quieter machine. But best of all, from a pilot's perspective, they're going to enjoy flying it.
The new Boeing 747-8 is a massive machine, designed to take off at close to 1 million pounds. Through months of flight testing, the airplane has shown plenty of power on takeoff. But how would it handle all that energy if it had to suddenly stop?
In the emergency event that we have to make a rejected takeoff at these heavy weights, it takes a long distance for the airplane to stop. It's just like in your car.
Captain Kurt Vining and the Boeing Test and Evaluation team are about to put the airplane through the ultimate rejected takeoff, or RTO. First, the crew installs a set of 100% worn-out brakes.
So it's down to the stud. So if you ever have your own brakes, they've got a machine down to so there's just basically no material left.
Technicians also fuel the airplane up to maximum takeoff weight of just over 975,000 pounds. At the start of the runway, Captain Vining begins the takeoff roll as usual, pushing all 4 engines to maximum thrust. But just as the airplane is going at over 200 miles or 320 kilometers per hour, he slams on the brakes. To channel maximum energy to the carbon brakes, the pilot cannot use the thrust reversers.
The whole intent is to demonstrate under worst conditions, you could safely stop the aircraft.
The brakes, made by Goodrich, do exactly as they're supposed to. In fact, the 747-8 stops earlier than the team had hoped, beating the target by more than 700 feet or 200 meters. But stopping is just half the challenge. Now the airplane must prove it can withstand the tremendous heat that built up in the wheels, estimated to be more than 1,400 degrees Celsius.
And it's a simple physics problem. We have to turn that kinetic energy into heat in the brakes.
As expected, smoke pours out from the brakes as they glow a bright orange. Still, the firefighters who are standing by can't do anything but watch for the next 5 minutes.
And that's to simulate that if you were at an airport, you had an RTO, you wouldn't necessarily have the fire department right there. So you demonstrate that worst case would be 5-minute response time for a fire department to get to the airplane.
By design, special fuse plugs in the tires are activated, deflating the tires before they explode. Finally, at the 5-minute mark, firefighters move in with plenty of water. While the tires and brakes will have to be replaced, the rest of the airplane is perfectly fine. No sweat, even for the flight test engineers who were on board.
It went amazing. The decel rate was exactly what we expected. Great stopping, no major faults.
Slamming on the brakes so the new 747-8 can continue moving towards certification and delivery. You're about to see a jumbo jet take a dip in a little pond. It's called a water spray test, one of the many requirements the new Boeing 747-8 freighter must plow through on the road to certification.
So we do the water spray test so that we can tell whether or not if an airplane's going through standing water, whether water actually gets ingested into the engines, because that would be bad.
To conduct the test, the Boeing team builds a temporary pool in the middle of a runway and fills it with water. Lots of water. Meanwhile, technicians paint sections of the airplane pink.
And we painted from just behind.
Nick Baker, one of the engineers who planned the test, explains the substance is pink dye mixed with a mild cleanser. It comes right off when sprayed with water.
So that when we run through the trough and the water hits it, we can tell where the water has hit the body.
While the requirement is to test the engines, engineers also track what happens to the underbelly of the fuselage, just to soak up more knowledge.
We don't want possible water ingestion. We don't want it going into the ports and clogging them.
The pilots maneuver the 747-8 freighter down the runway, making sure to line the plane up just right. At about 30 knots, it's time for a big splash.
And actually being that close to the taxiway, when you have an airplane coming right past you and just spraying up that much water is awesome.
The test is repeated at 40 knots, and then faster still at 50 knots.
We have to go through and demonstrate that in all these different circumstances that the aircraft is safe and flight-worthy. Consider a big spreadsheet, and we're just going through and checking off that the aircraft behaves as it's supposed to.
It's after midnight, and this Boeing 747-8 freighter and its crew are just getting home after a 17-hour test flight, a demanding mission to prove the airplane's reliability.
It tested the airplane, it tested us as a crew. It was the longest flight by far in my careers, but the airplane performed fabulously. The ride was smooth, and the systems worked exactly the way we hoped they would.
The team has more to celebrate than just finishing a marathon test. You see, this long flight is also the last one required to certify Boeing's largest ever airplane.
It's fantastic. We're glad that we finished successfully, and I think we have a great airplane.
Since the first 747-8 freighter soared into the sky, the test fleet has flown more than 1,200 flights, totaling 3,400 hours. In that time, Boeing test pilots dragged the airplane's tail on the runway to test its takeoff performance.
Here we go, recovering.
They threw the airplane into stalls to see how it would handle such an emergency. They slammed on the brakes while traveling at over 200 miles or 320 kilometers per hour to simulate the ultimate rejected takeoff. They pitched the airplane up and down to put stress on the airframe to ensure it's structurally sound. They sent the freighter head-on into fierce crosswinds, pushed it to almost the speed of sound, and plowed it through a pool to make sure water doesn't get into the engines, and on and on. In all, the Boeing 747-8 freighters met more than 1,700 certification requirements.
We've put this airplane through its paces. We have tested it well beyond the design limits and well beyond anything the airplane will ever see in service.
In service, the 747-8 freighter will be the largest and most efficient cargo airplane in the industry, capable of hauling almost 150 tons, 20 more than its predecessor. and it will do so at lower costs thanks to a more aerodynamic wing and next-generation engines from General Electric.
It just truly will make these airlines, I believe, tons of money.
Now that the certification flight test program is over, the Boeing team has to wrap up paperwork and prepare the airplanes for delivery, with the first one scheduled for Cargolux Airlines in September.
Well, the thing that's cool is getting the airplane to its customer. I know they're looking forward to having the airplane and putting in service and earning money with it.
The pilots, engineers, and technicians say they're looking forward to crossing the finish line after more than a year of being on the road, working weekends, and prepping the airplanes late into the night.
And working straight through 7 days a week. That's a pretty common thing. So it's been a very long journey, but a pretty rewarding one as well. You get to learn a lot about each other and a lot about the aircraft.
Just putting away the carry-on bags won't be enough for this flight. These Boeing engineers have to tape or tie everything down, from their lunch to their laptop.
If you don't have it clammed down, things fly in the air.
And it'll literally go straight up to the ceiling, and it can come down and hit you on the head.
You see, this is no ordinary flight. The new Boeing 747-8 freighter is taking off to perform flight load survey. It's one of the most grueling flight tests for an airplane and for those on board. A strong stomach comes in handy. You'll understand why in 3, 2, 1.
So it's like a roller coaster. So you go up, you go down.
It's a challenge to keep yourself strapped in, your computer, your notes, and make sure that you're watching the right things.
It might look like fun, but it's serious business. Flight load survey is designed to validate the structural capability of the airplane by putting extraordinary stress on the fuselage and wing. To do so, the test pilots perform extreme maneuvers, such as repeatedly pitching the airplane down and then pulling up, going from 0 gravity to 2 times gravity in seconds.
It is as much as you'd want to push in airplanes. I mean, some of the test points are up to 2.5 Gs, and in service that's very close to what the overstress limit of the airplane would be.
Going to 2 times the force of gravity greatly increases the load on the 747-8, which is already flying at its maximum takeoff weight of nearly 1 million pounds.
As you start putting stress on the airplane, you'll see the wings will start bending up, and they're under tremendous stress.
Really what we're trying to do is take it to the outer corners of the design envelope and demonstrate that the airframe can withstand the flight maneuvers and at the gross weights that we designed it to.
In the cabin, the flight test engineers and structural analysts are trying to stay in their seat while monitoring the airplane's performance. These roller coaster flights can last 4 to 5 hours and are not for the faint of heart.
Because we do so many conditions so quickly, right? You kind of don't have time to, oh yeah, that was great. You got to concentrate on what you're doing, right? Because you got to be ready for the next one.
A grueling test to make sure the new Boeing 747-8 freighter can handle loads far beyond what it will face once in service.
The airplane handled great, easy to fly, well behaved, and just did a great job.
The new Boeing 747-8 freighter is designed to carry a heavy load, but this test airplane is about to go above and beyond the call of duty. Let's rewind so we can explain. Boeing engineers created the 747-8 freighter so cargo carriers can fly even more freight around the world. By stretching the fuselage of the popular 747, engineers increased the airplane's maximum takeoff weight to 975,000 pounds, or about 442,000 kilograms. But with a new airplane, it's not enough just to build it, you have to prove it.
So we go above the limits that are established for the aircraft from a weight perspective, from a speed perspective, so that we can clearly demonstrate to both customers, regulatory agencies, and passengers that the aircraft's capable of performing at these levels.
So for a recent test flight, the ground operations crew spent hours loading RC-521, the second 747-8 freighter. They began by pumping the airplane with plenty of fuel. Then they brought in dozens of steel plates, each one weighing more than 3,000 pounds. One by one, the crew secured the plates in the lower cargo hold. When it was all said and done, they had gone well past the maximum takeoff weight.
This airplane's going to go out tomorrow morning at 1,005,000 pounds. 1,005,000 is the heaviest a 747 has ever carried. So we'll set the record tomorrow.
Fast forward to the flight line. Captain Paul Stemmer conducts a pre-flight check. fully aware of the weight of the situation.
Yes, there's a lot of mass, it's a lot of energy. I think we have done our homework, and I'm thinking we're ready. Let's go do it.
With the new GEnx-2B engines providing the thrust, time for takeoff. More than 1 million pounds soaring into the California sky. Weeks of planning and preparation paying off with the heaviest takeoff in Boeing's history.
Yeah, that's a big deal for us. It's a testament to the initial design and the fact that, we talk about it being an iconic aircraft and an iconic design, that it has been able to be grown and doing more than it was initially envisioned.
It's incredible to think that the people, men and women from the Boeing company, together with the partners around the world, can build such a magnificent flying machine that is capable of lifting over 1 million pounds into the air.